like to tell you the story of two CEOs. Story's a little different for each one, but the outcome is the same. First CEO I was talking to this past week who had a really great employee. She had been working with this employee exclusively, had many meetings, attempted to keep that employee engaged in the company, and then out of left field came a resignation, and that employee left the company and gave short notice to leave. In the other organization, the CEO had hired a high-level executive this past year, and the executive proved to be toxic over the year. And eventually the CEO was left to fire that individual, let them go, which has put the organization back because they didn't know whether they wanted to hire the same kind of person, different kind of person, etc. Bottom line is, in both instances, in my coaching sessions, the question that came out was, what about you caused this to happen? In other words, in the first instance, the CEO had worked with this employee very closely and did not know that the employee was going to leave. That's a pretty big unknown to have happen. And I know it's happened to all of us. And so the question is, what about that CEO? What about the way that they interfaced with that person? What were the questions that they were not asking that they could have that would have determined in their own mind that this person was set to go? They didn't have any idea that was going to happen. In the second instance, the questions that came up were, what about the way that you hired this individual? Didn't give you a precursor to the fact that he may or may not be a toxic individual. I know sometimes you have to get married up and have some time with somebody, but in both instances, there were gaps in the process that occurred. And I do think that as a leader, you need to self-reflect, not just blame that person, not just say that person left, I don't believe they're very good, or we had to fire that person because we didn't see this coming. I don't think that's a good methodology to really improve your organization. So I'm going to suggest today, as you go through these types of instances where you lose somebody, you fire somebody, you look at yourself and say, what could I have done better? Working with the individuals in your organization is all about you and the way that you interface with them and the way that you lead them. And I do think that we need to reflect and respond and learn from each circumstance. And certainly there are many good reasons why these folks left. I mean, that's for sure. But on the other side of this, you can learn from this experience and be a much better and purposeful leader. I always look for things that'll help you become a purposeful leader. So read the Friday Digest today. Thanks a lot.